Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Can everyone hear me right now? Can you hear me? I'm checking the chat right now. Waiting. Claims no sound. Yes. Check 1 2. Can there we go. I don't know what happened, guys. Typical. All right, so I'll just I'll start from here. I'm having an issue with my software here, my broadcasting software. So let's get it going. All right, wasted enough time. Solar wind speeds, as you saw, was 307.2 kilometers per second with a density of 10.2, I believe. I'm sorry, no, it's 7.4 or something like that. And we're blank without sunspots for the last 7 days. Check out the activity from our sun. Not much. The last time that we broadcasted live, we were talking about we had a flurry of action after a 30-day span without sunspots. And this is very similar to what we experienced in January because we even got a couple of solar flares out of that last sunspot, 2765, an M-class and several B-class flares. And then just like that, we're quiet again. We do have an Earth-facing coronal hole that is going to deliver solar wind speeds to Earth. Right now, I'm trying to get this to play. It's not going to play. But we are going to expect solar wind speeds increasing on the 26th and the 27th. And, you know, tonight's show, the only reason why I'm coming on live tonight is that there's just too much going on right now. And what's happening with weather and what's happening with the seismic activity, and, you know, we just had the solar eclipse in parts of the world. And just so much going on, and so many people out there who thought when AR 2765 was flaring up and crackling out flares, a lot of folks were like, oh, well, it looks like that whole grand solar minimum thing's out the window. But lo and behold, we are looking at what could be the next 8 to 14 days, and there is nothing on the horizon but a couple of coronal holes. And let's zoom in a little bit here and check this out. Here's my arrow. Yeah, let's get that. Here we go. The 0 represents Earth facing. 0 and 0 is Earth facing. Okay. When you get to negative 90, that's when you're at the edge of the eastern limb. So from the eastern limb to Earth facing, you got about 5, 6, 7 days. No sunspots, all right? And then you go beyond the eastern limb, which is the backside rotating around to Earth facing. And we've got some bright active region right here, but that's not usual for sunspots. We have seen active regions that are just bright, what were they called, proto sunspots, where they were not, it did not possess the cores that it needed to be sunspots. So I mention this because we went through a 30-day streak without sunspots, and we had some action for a little while from one sunspot that didn't really get any bigger than sunspot number, I believe it was 17. That was tops. And now we are possibly looking at another long streak without sunspots. This is relevant, what our sun's getting ready to do, and then you throw in with what is happening and what will be happening and what to be on the alert for. This, I tell you, 2020 is something else. Whether you've been paying attention to the virus, or maybe you don't believe in the virus and you call it the pandemic, or maybe you're following politics and it's crazy out there, or maybe, you know, all these bizarre crimes and bizarre just incidents everywhere you look. And then Mother Nature steps in and says, excuse me, have you all forgot about me? And this week, right now, it's only Tuesday, and it's already off to a crazy start, in my opinion. And, you know, I was noticing this the other day, that we are starting to see an uptick again in volcanic and earthquake activity. We're starting to see more bizarre weather formations. I'll be talking about one of those tonight. It's just things are starting to get a little bit more even crazier with our weather systems. We've talked about Australia seeing its coldest autumn days on record. We had several of those a couple of weeks ago. We've had snow, January snow. I reported it last week. So this sun is not anywhere ready to wake up, period. And it is still slumbering. And we know what lower solar activity brings, and the jet stream is erratic. And again, I'll show you all that here in a bit. But what a difference in what we've seen from week to week. 7 days ago, we were dealing with AR 2765. It was crackling flares. What of the record heat in Siberia? Strange. Well, listen. It did happen. And anomalies happen. Records are broken. But what we don't focus on, and even when it's a cold record, you don't focus on the anomaly and say that doesn't. It's never been this hot here before. So, you know, it's got to be global warming. And the AGW is freaking out right now. They are just like, climate change is real. I saw a report from an AGW website that said that that we have 6 months before the world succumbs to climate change. Thank you for the super chat there, St. Louis Arch. Thank you very much. You've been around for a very long time. Guys, we appreciate any donations. Right now, Mari and I have been really busy getting a house put back together, and it's coming along nicely, but lots of hard work, and we haven't been able to do the shows as much as we'd like. So, again, this channel is only operating because of subscribers like St. Louis Arch and many, many others out there who have contributed to this channel. We much appreciate it. And, you know, tonight we got on late, but, you know, you got to get it in when you can fit it in. Something like that, I suppose. But tonight we have a few stories to talk about tonight. And I felt like that it was, these were one of those evenings where, with everything that's happening around us, news-wise, and so much is not being focused on what this channel focuses on a daily basis, it would be nice to hear about some of this stuff in the mainstream. Now, the last time we were on the air, we were talking about a strong 7.4, okay? And that was on June 18th. Now, that depth was very shallow. Very, very shallow. Why am I bringing this up now? 5 days later, we get a 7.7 that's been downgraded to a 7.4. This actually killed 4 people. No tsunamis, but the shaking. I'm going to tell you something, guys, and I wish I would have pulled this up before the show. I saw video of the ground shaking in Mexico City, 300 miles away. A powerful 7.4 magnitude earthquake rattled the Mexican state of, I'm gonna butcher this, but I think it's Oaxaca, Tuesday morning, and prompted tsunami warnings for Mexico and parts of Central America. At least 4 people were killed. The quake struck at 10:29 a.m. local time Tuesday, about 7 miles southwest of Santa Maria Zapotlán on the Mexico's Pacific coast, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. Federal Civil Defense Authorities said worker at the state-run oil company Perminex died when he fell from the refinery structure. The Associated Press reported another man was killed when a wall fell on him in the village of San Agustin Armentago. Mexican president said one person was killed and another injured when a building collapsed also in that region. That's how you get out of pronouncing the cities, just, in that region. Most reports were minor, such as broken windows and collapsed walls. Murat said a hospital caring for COVID-19 patients suffered structural damage and had to be evacuated, according to Telemundo. There were more than 140 aftershocks, most of them small. Soon after the quake, the U.S. Pacific Tsunami Warning Center said tsunami waves of 3 to 9 feet above tide level were possible along Mexico's coast. Smaller waves were possible in other parts of Central and South America. No warning was issued for the United States. So, within a week, the sun has gone quiet. KP indices are staying low. The sun's acting funny. Everybody is having a party on one side of the solar system right now. Everybody, check out this alignment. Yeah. Also, this is where things could get hairy when we see stuff like this. Don't think that this alignment right now has nothing to do with what we're experiencing with volcanic eruptions and earthquakes. It'll be interesting when we have solar wind speeds affecting Earth's magnetic field here in the next couple of days. It'll be interesting to see if something else pops off. And I'm talking about earthquake. But today, still, several earthquakes in Mexico, 4.2. Puerto Rico also seeing a swarm. And let's zoom back in. I didn't mean to do that. Silly. Yeah, let's go right there. And another swarm. Puerto Rico has been busy with seismic activity. But the main focus is today here, folks. The 7.7 downgraded to a 7.4. Some minor earthquakes on the west coast today as well in the United States. We'll keep our eyes on this situation. And strong eruption at Merapi volcano. Ashfall reported up to 28 miles away, Indonesia. Now this happened on Sunday, Father's Day, June 21st. Ash plume ejecting up to 20,000 feet into the sky. And as of 9:16 UTC on June 21st, the aviation color code is yellow, which indicates that volcanic activity has decreased significantly but continues to be monitored closely for a possible increase. The direction of the wind to the west caused ash to fall in regencies in the Magalang and the Cunoloprogo, said in a statement issued by the Geological Disaster Technology Research and Development Center. Both eruptions were recorded on a seismograph with an amplitude of about 75. The column height reached around 20,000 feet. And again, you generally want to see a volcano eruption around 55 or higher, 55,000 feet or higher, when it comes to affecting the stratosphere, the climate, causing cooling, and all kinds of funky stuff that happens during grand solar minimums. And like I've mentioned before on the program, John Casey, his book Upheaval, if you don't have it, that is a must-read, guys. Everything you read in the first 100 pages, if you follow this channel and others that are like-minded like us, you understand what's happening right now. In the first 100 pages, reading it now versus when I first got it, it makes a lot more sense to me now. But we are expecting increased volcano, increased earthquake activity between now and 2037, according to John Casey. Alert raised after a resumption of seismicity at the Piton de la Fournaise volcano reunion. Now, this was the next day. So, Marapi, and then we're talking about the Fournaise volcano and reunion. Now, things have been getting kind of active since around June 16th, 2020. And it says here that the Volcanologist Observatory of Piton de la Fournaise reported that 18 superficial volcano-tectonic earthquakes were recorded 1.2 miles under the summit zone between June 16th and June 22nd. The inflation of the building is synonymous with pressurization of the surface magnetic reservoir located around 1 to 1.5 miles below the summit. So you put one and one together and you tell me what we got going here is the early warning signs of a possible eruption. The carbon dioxide fluxes in the Fairfield soil, which had reached maximum values at the end of April 2nd through the 6th, eruption this year, continue to reduce, corresponding to the deep ascent of magma to the surface of the feeding system. Even if the trend is downward, the absolute values of the CO2 flux through the soil remains very high. So here we have, within 5 days, we have 2 7.4 earthquakes. And thank you, by the way, Tugtov, for your generous and kind donation. Again, thank you very much. Without you guys, this channel would not be here, trust me. But getting back to the volcanoes and the earthquakes here, guys, we are seeing an uptick in stronger earthquakes and possibly some stronger volcanic eruptions. On top of what we're dealing with on the climate. Richard, good to see you, bud. It's been a while. So it all starts here, guys. It all starts with this page here, our space weather section on the grandsolarminimum.com. Low solar activity, and it's going to continue. And we have solar wind to deal with on the 26th and 27th. Let's talk about the weather side of things. Dolly, Tropical Storm Dolly, forms off the coast of the northeastern U.S. as the second earliest fourth named storm on record. Now, before we go any further, AccuWeather had upped its tropical storm hurricane season totals because of the developing La Nina. And with that developing La Nina, we are talking less wind shear, which will let these storms thrive when there's less wind shear involved. So that's just one of the things. But I understand that La Ninas don't carry the wind shear that it takes to destroy these storms. So already seeing an uptick. This is the second earliest fourth named storm. Subtropical Depression 4 has developed offshore northeastern U.S. late Monday afternoon, June 22nd, and intensified into a tropical storm Dolly as of 1700 UTC on June 23rd. The fourth named storm of the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season and the second earliest fourth named storm on record. The storm is expected to become post-tropical by June 24th, so no big deal. What's up, Frankie out there? Frankie McDonald in Nova Scotia. Watch out, buddy. You might get some high winds from that. That's about it, though. Its maximum sustained wind speed was 45 miles per hour. The system is moving east-northeast at 13 miles per hour with minimum central pressure of 1,002. So not too crazy of a storm, but still very early. And I might add that storm is traveling into much cooler waters, too. So for it to be a tropical storm or any type right now at this point is a feat of its own right there. So it gives you an indication of what these storms can do without wind shear being too relevant, I should say. Anywho, moving along here with more weather. we've got some storms firing up across the United States tonight. We are expecting some severe weather in the heartland here, Plain States. By Thursday, this area right here is going to be on the watch. You guys are checking this out down here in Texas. Now, if you watch this, you're going to see the system kind of get a little bit weaker, right? And you're probably wondering, well, the waters are warmer. What's going on here? Well, I'll show you real quick. That's not what I wanted to show you. This is what, there we go. It's this right here. This dust plume is pretty, it's intense. I've been covering this topic for the last 4 or 5 years. I really got into watching and following these things. I didn't realize that we can get dust plumes from Africa, but we do. And this is pretty much the thickest that I've observed in the time that I've been doing this channel. So with that being said, this makes the air drier. So who cares about what kind of temperatures we have in that part of the ocean? This particular dust plume is moving right into the Gulf as we speak. Going into the overnight hours, into tomorrow, it'll be much more thicker. And this is going to help kind of stave off anything major that is potentially, that could happen from that. So good news on that. Now, let's address the rest of the South and South Florida as well. We've got some funky rotations going on here, folks, and I am a junkie when it comes to weather radars. And I'm fascinated by movement of storm cells. And just looking at the motions of these storm cells here going south, southeast, southwest, usually the weather is coming from the opposite end. Some of these cells are thriving, but thankfully moving off the coast. Now, up here in the Northeast, we really could have used a little bit of rain in this area. And I hate to say this, but we got a couple drizzles, and that was about it. And it is staying dry. It's been hot up here, but there is a cold front, and you guys can see that. Here is that front moving in from the north, and it'll rotate its way in here. So we've had temperatures in the 90s up here in this area. That will be no more. We will see more reasonable temperatures, low 80s, 81 for a high tomorrow in most areas in the Northeast. But as we look at our radar, all the action's in the south, on the East Coast, but fizzling out. And then we've got this bad boy over here. And this has been the year of the Direcos. And I don't know if this is qualifying for one, but we will have to keep our eyes on the developments of this. As in the far western corner of Kansas, you'll see it intensify within seconds. So potentially some severe weather overnight tonight, but we are expecting severe weather in this region for Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas around Thursday into Thursday night. So there's Dolly one more time. Let's take a look at it. This is its path. Again, not making landfall, maybe making some waves up here, maybe a little bit more wind. Nothing crazy, guys. It's so small and so little. It's barely a storm. So, not moving quickly at all as well. But again, no threats. And as far as watches and warnings tonight, well, we got a couple here. Let's check out what we got going on here in Pennsylvania. Looks like we got some flash flood warnings, a couple special weather statements, some heavy rain moving through the area earlier. And really, other than that, guys, it's just not too crazy out there weather-wise so far. So we'll keep our eyes on that. Let's take a look at our GFS outlook, and we need the rain. This forecast here, to me, is just saying that just because there's all this green all over the screen doesn't mean it's going to rain everywhere. It's just GFS likes the chances of moisture tomorrow as we get into the overnight hours tonight and into Wednesday afternoon. Finally, that rain will cycle out into the northeast. Some more rain in Texas, Louisiana, across the south on Wednesday. A little bit of light showers through the Ohio Valley, and then we get into Thursday, and that's where we think we could see a possibility of some severe weather across, actually, GFS is not showing that severe threat now for Kansas and Missouri, but we do have to watch out in the Dakotas possibly Friday, June 26th. So let's move into the weekend. Some moderate rain showers across the Great Lakes. It could get a little heavy in the upper peninsula of Michigan. More strong storms form on Saturday, June 27th in the Kansas and Missouri region, as storms race across the Great Lakes into western New York by Sunday, June 28th. If you live in the upstate New York or northeast from Pennsylvania and beyond, we haven't had that much rain. And right now the forecast doesn't look too good for any rain tomorrow for up here as well. Drier air, I don't know what the deal is. Whatever the case may be, we are not seeing the rain that we were hoping for. We're actually scheduled to get rain on Sunday. That didn't happen. Today we got these really weird drizzle spells, heavy sprinkles, not even really rain, just heavy sprinkles, quick, 30 seconds. So June 28th looks like the first chance of rain for this region. It's amazing. It's another week out. That's not what I wanted to see. Hopefully we get some rain overnight tonight and tomorrow. And then the pattern looks like it might get a little bit more busier as we get towards the end of the month. The Northwest, the Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley, across the Northeast, and then, of course, Missouri, Mississippi, across the South. Storms just dive bomb in the South. 1, 2 there. And then we get some weird rotations here. And check this out right here, guys. Keep your eyes in this region here. I'll back it up just a little bit. We're getting some low pressure systems doing some funky stuff. And this has a lot to do with the jet stream being weird. But check that out. I believe we call that Lando cane. But we do need to watch the Gulf as well for potential development into mid-July. I know that's a ways away out. We'll also keep our eyes and see how long that dry Sahara Desert dust plume will affect the region here. But that low pressure system, I just want to point out that we see this thing kind of get its act together on July 1st. There it is down here in the south. Watch this thing. And I think it has a lot to do with the high pressure system that's kind of hanging out in the Great Lakes. And then it finally jets back out to the Atlantic. And this thing just kind of rotates out here in the Tennessee and Ohio Valley on 4th of July. So if you had any plans for fireworks on the 4th, it's not looking good from the Ohio Valley to the south. And then more rain spreads out into the region. So we will keep our eyes, and can't believe that we are already through the month of June just about, guys. So we're excited to see what kind of temperatures that we got for the month of June as far as the UAH. Continuing so far, monitoring the weather. We haven't had too much of a crazy forecast to talk about. And really anything past next Sunday is irrelevant. It's just an idea what's going to happen. So these formations definitely could change. But I think watching it up till the 28th is pretty much reliable. So let's do a recap. Starting tonight. Rain across the northeast. Again, those are overdoing it. It's just showing the likelihood of chance of showers at any time. Scattered. Heavy rain in eastern Texas, Louisiana, parts of the south by Friday, and then this weekend a better chance of rain for people in Wisconsin and Michigan. Also light showers developing across Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, racing into the northeast by Sunday, which is the best shot of rain thus far for that region. Again, there is chances, and I will say chances, they're not very heavy. So Friday the 26th, a very light chance for the northeast. And then really the 28th is probably the next legit area for moisture. Meanwhile, out in the southwest, we were talking about fires last broadcast and the heat. Check it out. It's not going away anytime soon. In fact, the heat, by the time we get to 1st of July, is going to spread a little bit to Texas And now, almost the majority, if not all, of the southwest of the United States will be in triple digits. 109, 110, 111, 115, areas like that. But look at the temperatures on the East Coast on July 4th. Daytime highs on the 3rd of July, 81. That's beautiful for July 3rd here in upstate New York. And it's going to be a hot one on the 4th of July. Look at this, guys. This, to me, is summer. This is the summers that I remember when I was a kid. 85 and higher on the 4th of July. This, to me, feels like the first 4th of July in a long, long time that's actually going to feel like the 4th of July. And I know we're in a grand solar minimum, but that doesn't mean we don't get hot weather still. From time, I mean, look at Siberia. They got a temperature of 104 was it, or 100.4, something like that. It happens, and we've always preached that. Shorter, hotter summers, shorter grow seasons as well. Longer, colder winters, early falls. We've bragged and talked and praised about the plant success that we've had so far in the crops across the United States, but we've got to worry about the harvest because we've seen the cold come early and earlier and earlier. Now, I think a lot of farmers from last year have learned that maybe I'll do a 92-day corn or a 97-day corn. Yeah, they planted on time, but are they going to have cooperating weather in the fall when it's expected? Now, last year we had late plants all over the United States, and there were folks that said, don't worry about it, the fall will cooperate. And you know what? They were right. Not everywhere, but the places that were struggling really bad did have cooperating weather in the fall. I'm not saying all the harvests last year were perfect, but some areas were salvageable. This year, the focus is not going to be about plant or the growth, but the early cold. Are we going to be able to harvest in time? Plus on top of other natural disasters that could cause crop damage as well. Hail, tornadoes, all that stuff. So, interesting next couple of weeks to watch. GFS is giving us the indication that summer is a full go here into the month of July. And then parts of the Northeast cool off a little bit by mid-month. We're talking highs in the 50s in Maine. Yeah, maybe 60s as well for high temperatures in the middle of July. The South, it's going to get hot. I mean, that's just what it does in the summertime. East Coast, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, it gets hot. So pretty normal right now, guys. Nothing terribly crazy. But the one things I definitely want to watch over the next several days is what this bad guy does here. Or I shouldn't say bad guy, but bad boy maybe. And right now it's not doing anything. Low solar activity, coronal holes, planetary alignments usually mean some pretty gnarly stuff could be on the way. So, guys, we appreciate you tuning in late tonight. Mari, did you want to say hello or good night to anyone before we sign off on the air tonight? My phone died, so I can't see the chat anymore.
My phone's going to die. I've been really missing everyone in the chat. So refreshing to see everyone's faces.
Yes.
This once a week thing's driving us crazy, but at the same time, like Richard popped in, he's like, "Did you get the roof on?" And I said, "We did." And
Yes.
it's like we are doing big things, and it's taken me 7 years working on this house to get to the point of getting the roof on, and now like I feel like we've hit the hump. We're over it, right, Jake?
Yep, the power got turned on. New electricity will be flowing through the house.
Having the water turned on Thursday.
Piece by piece.
And we still have so much.
And then we got drywall to hang.
But
who wants to help?
Now that the roof is on, it's like we can work inside, and I'm just
I need laborers
so
for the drywall.
It's been brutal work, and in 90-degree weather in a hot house on the second story with no electricity, no fans, no nothing. There's a lot of brutal stuff we've been doing. And Jake landscapes like a king. Like, I just can't even believe you are the landscaping king, Jake, right?
I retained a few things
Oh
from
my
old
goodness!
jobs.
Like
So.
we took this Dust Bowl front yard and turned it into this beautiful floral paradise.
It is
Right,
a
Jake?
Dust Bowl there.
How many bags of mulch? 26 bags
26
of
bags.
mulch.
26.
Wow.
We probably could have used 4 more.
Tough work.
To make it
we
thicker.
were filthy. Just my fingernails still are just like ridiculous. And then we took, the house was built in the 1800s. We took these old bricks that were inside the walls and did a border, a garden border.
Yeah, the bricks that were inside the house that we were no longer using, I thought, well, we got plenty of them. Don't want to throw them away, so we used them as borders for our garden. And talking to Matt Bros earlier today, and he said, repurposing is about 80% of farming. So I always knew I had it in me, Mari, being a farmer someday. So who knows? I may get lucky and get some land and start farming. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in to this late edition of the Grand Solar Minimum News. We appreciate it. Again, thanks to Tug Tall and St. Louis Arch for your kind donations. We definitely appreciate it. Guys, make sure you stay hydrated if you're out there in this heat. And hopefully we'll get to do another show live this week as well, maybe even a call-in. So, again, thanks for being patient with us, guys. We hope to be, again, the work that we're doing right now is going to set up to where this channel will be delivering content once again 5 days a week and then on the weekends as well. Plus many more interviews, more in-depth coverage of what is going on with our sun. So bear with us here a few more weeks. We'll get this work wrapped up, and then once we are in the position that we know we're going to be in, this channel is going to change in ways that we've wanted to do for many, many years. And what it deserves is as far as its subscribers and our followers. You guys have been awesome, and we appreciate being a part of this community. All right, guys, have a good night, and we will talk soon. Take care.
Do you like this show? Give us a thumbs up. Want to support us more? Share to your favorite social media platform, buy a t-shirt, or become a Patreon. All links are in the description below.